Alright, it's your boy xBenv0lio rocking a High Elf army, which I haven't used in a while, so I thought it'd be fun to whip them out. Playing against Punisher, who I beat in the last game. He was playing Dwarves in the last game, then he switched to Wood Elves, and I thought, you know what, let's make it an Elfy game. I haven't used the High Elves in a while, so let's bring out those High Elves against the Wood Elves. You know what, and I was feeling really confident, so I decided to go with a Noble here, pictured here riding a Great Eagle. It's a hero unit I don't often use. Let's just quickly take a look at his stats. So his only stat right now is very fast. He was anti-large, but then I put him on the Eagle, and maybe he lost that, I'm not quite sure. But he has a high stat line, decent amount of health, kind of good to fly around and disrupt enemy formations, able to take a decent amount of combat on himself being a hero unit. Then what I love about the High Elves is they have these cheap horse archers and cheap cavalry, so Illyrian Reavers and Illyrian Reaver archers. Now, so they're not terribly strong cavalry, but they're very fast, they're Vanguard deployment, and these Illyrian archers can fire while moving, so they're really useful. For only about 750 gold, they're really, in my opinion, very cost effective if you're bringing two groups, one on each flank, and the Illyrian Reavers as well, only about like 500 gold. And I put a couple chevrons in them, so they're slightly better. But they're just nice, fast, cheap cavalry. I like having them on my flanks. I like how cheap they are. Let's take a good look at them. Look at those little hats. Look at those funny hats. I don't know how he takes them seriously with those hats. Jeez, pointy hats. Anyway, but yeah, so, but I think Link was onto something when he made that stuffed droopy, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, yeah, so I like having those group of archers and the Illyrian riders on the flanks just because they're nice, fast, cheap cavalry with Vanguard deploy. I find that very useful, so they're being backed up by a Noble over here on my right flank. Let's take a look quickly at my main High Elf line. I've got a group of Spearmen, okay, 2 chevrons, so basically holding ground, that's their job. Just kind of like the Eternal Guard. Just hold the ground, let the archers fire over their shoulders. Hold the ground, hold the ground. Got 3 groups of spearmen, including 1 regiment renown over here. Let's take a look at these regiment around. These beautiful boys here. Scions of Mathlon, shielded anti-large charge defense against all any magical aura. Not sure what that magical aura does, but oh look, they've got like cool hippocampuses on their, that's a hippocamp, by the way, on their shields, in case you didn't know that. Thank you very much. Don't call it a seahorse. Seahorse, yeah. Whatever, water horse, it's a hippocamp. Okay, then the Swordsmasters of Hoeth, 1 group of them in my main infantry line here. Armored, armor-piercing, anti-infantry, and they can deflect shots. So bringing against Wood Elves, who have a lot of archers, I thought this would be, these guys would be pretty good, because they can use those swords there, those big long swords, they can whack arrows actually out of the air oncoming. Never had time to, like, sit and watch them do it in combat, but they do have that going for them, as well as being kind of elite infantry, able to do a lot of damage and take a lot of abuse in return. In my back line, I've got standard archers, just cheap, great range, nice to fill out a back line, not too expensive. You can get a lightly armored variant, but I don't find them to be too much better. These archers are just as effective and quite cheap with that excellent range. Let's take a look now over at the Shiny Elf Queens. Yes! The Sisters of Avalorn, armor-piercing missiles, good range, decent melee combat, bows of Avalorn. I don't quite know what the bows of Avalorn buff is. All I know is that they're powerful range units. They're a great foundation for a High Elf line, and they're just really good with just their missile damage is really good. That armor-piercing damage is quite effective. Let's see, what's bows of Avalorn mean anyway? Loosing arrows of mystical blue fire. They excel at setting vulnerable units ablaze and piercing the toughest armor. Alright, so basically magical bolts of fury coming from those shiny elf queens. Okay, and then there's the other group of archers, the spears. That's the main line of infantry. Over here I got my other group of Illyrian Reaver archers hiding behind the... Where are my other group of Illyrian Reavers? So there's the archers. I've got the prince here on the Star Dragon, the biggest dragon you can get. He's got a nice breath attack, strawberry milkshake flaming breath attack, just a giant monster, causes terror, armor piercing. And just a nasty piece of work with a prince on the back of it. Where the dickens are my other group of Illyrian Reavers, though? Where are they? That's odd. I should have another group of them, unless I've wheeled them about. I've got them over here for some reason. I've wheeled them about already. For some reason, God knows. Anyway, but let's take a look at Punisher's army. So he's brought the Wood Elves. He's got 2 groups of Wild Riders with shields. Great unit. I love using them myself. Look at those cool, awesome Predator-looking masks. Yeah, so they're pretty nasty. Great unit. So he's gonna use those to maneuver about, move around, and what he's doing I think is really interesting. He's got groups of Deepwood Scouts. How many has he got? He's got 1, 2, 3, 4 groups of Deepwood Scouts, and they're going to get a buff. They're going to get a Forest Stalker buff, which is going to increase their accuracy, thereby increasing their damage. Look at them, all cloaky, moving through the brush. They're going to increase their damage because they're fighting in the forest. So he's sneaking into the woods. He wants to have the fight in the woods. Being a wood elf makes sense. His front line is a group of Eternal Guard. How many groups of Eternal Guard? 1, 2, 3, 4 Eternal Guard, and 1 group of War Dancers with twin swords. Good anti-infantry unit. Shadow Dancers, Dancers of Loak, which means they're just hard to hit. Good counter to my Swordmasters of Hoeth, maybe, if they can engage them, but we'll see if that happens. The Eternal Guard advancing through the forest. Any chevrons? No chevrons in any of his units. I did buff my spearmen with a couple chevrons each, but he wants to have this fight in the woods, it seems, so he's going to start raining arrows down from the woods. That's his main infantry groups and his wild riders, and he's got a forest dragon. Flying monster, so a little smaller than my Star Dragon, not quite as beefy. Does have a breath attack where it's going to, like, spew this nasty green stuff, and which is breath attacks from dragons are always quite devastating. Look at that, it's got like moose antlers with like moss dripping off them. That's freaking awesome. Yeah, that's the awesome looking forest dragon. Just love that model. And for his lord choice, he's got Orion, Lord of the Hunt, with his big spear, his bows and arrows, and he looks like Mel Gibson, doesn't he? Everybody says he kind of looks like Mel Gibson, but he's a spellcaster as well, so he's got a good range attack. He's a decent melee combatant as well. He's anti-large, so he's going to be good against my Star Dragon. He causes terror as well, so, and he's got a few spells which he might be able to unleash. If we're lucky, we might be able to catch some of them in action. It's hard to catch spells all the time jumping around, but jumping around through the action. Anyway, so my Sisters of Avalorn are already firing, so let's just get this game underway. So he's advancing through the bush. He wants to engage me in the bush. Kind of wasted, I think, a lot of my archery fire on those shields. I gotta learn not to fire into shielded units. Should have been firing at the Deepwood Scouts immediately, who apparently can fire while moving. Look at that. So their arrows are coming in. Against the Scions of Mathland, it's not going to be terribly effective. Against the archers, it's going to be doing a little bit more damage. My nobles over here, my Star Dragon's starting to take a bit of abuse. I kind of had to reposition a bit. I was expecting to be more in the middle, but I bring in my Illyrian Reaver archers to fire into the Reaver's archers. Great shot. Okay, firing at the Wild Riders as they approach the Illyrian Reaver archers. Man, that's going to be hard to say a lot. So I'm charging in with these Illyrian Reavers, who are going to have a very sad fate, because here comes the forest dragon. I wonder what he's going to do. They're already outnumbered, so that they're already getting tooled by these wild riders. But, oh, a breath attack! And just look at that. They've been deleted. They've been melted. So very nice move on my enemy's part, just deleting those Illyrian Reavers from the game, limiting my mobility already. Good move on his part. But the Illyrian Reaver archers still able to fire in. Archers hitting the wild riders as well. More Illyrian Reaver archers. The Sisters of Avalorn just hitting that just with sparkles and glamour. Just smashing those Deepwood Scouts and other things. And that's doing an effective amount of damage. Charging in now, meeting him in the woods. Not exactly where we want. Oh, he's casting a spell. Orion's casting a spell, I believe. Scions of Mathland engaging against these Scions of... Oh, it's the a bombardment spell. Bombardment of Cernus or something like that. I don't know. Some crazy name. But yeah, it doesn't affect them too much. They're able to hold the center. The Swordmasters of Hoeth charging in against the Eternal Guard. That's going to go their way pretty effectively, as they are going to be... I think they are... Swordmasters of Hoeth? Swordmasters... Ah! I think they're anti-infantry. Yeah, they're anti-infantry. So it's going to go their way pretty well. However, they do have the... so those Deepwood Scouts are going to be the most big damage dealers. The Prince is coming in and bullied the Forest Dragon a bit, who's taken a few volleys. I focus fired him, and that with those arrows focus firing him has really melted him away, and now I'm chasing him off with the Noble on the Eagle. Meanwhile, over here, the Wild Riders have basically trashed my other group of Illyrian Reavers, so I've got no more Illyrian Reavers left, just the archer units. Whoever just great at firing at these Wild Riders, kiting them. Okay, Wild Riders incoming. I'm moving the spears, this group of spearmen out to try and intercept. The Illyrian Reavers are keeping them. So this is good, drawing them away. Spearmen are going to be able to shield that group of archers, and the Wild Riders here are basically going to get sucked into a vortex of death. How's it going in the woods? The Swordmasters of Hoeth have engaged the... continuing to engage the Eternal Guard. These Eternal Guard are just parked here, not advancing, maybe because he's been obscured by the woods, as in you can't see into the woods. It's really hard to tell. These War Dancers are going to be having a good time against my Spearmen. Not the best time. The Deepwood Scout's able to fire in against the Spearmen. but I am going to be bringing my noble back to deal with them after he's chased off the dragon. And so, yes, the war dancers have caused them to rout. My prince on the star dragon taking a lot of damage, but able to get into those deepwood scouts. That's good with that nice little charge. You know, killing people killing everyone around him. Don't know if I got an effective breath attack in. I guess it was just all a bit of a scramble. I brought him down right into the woods without. Should have hovered around and shot with some dragon breath, but that didn't end up happening. Okay, Science Mathland charging in against the infantry. Wild Riders there, that group got deleted. They got sucked in and just shot by all the archers. However, this group of Wild Riders did get into my back line, deleted those archers, but still chasing them off with spearmen and the Illyrian Reaver archers. So I just love having those Illyrian Reaver archers. They're just able to keep on his, constantly keep the pressure on, constantly keep that cavalry moving. Can't let him get complacent with the cavalry because I'll be able to chase them down with those Illyrian Reavers. Really like them for that. Spearmen chasing them down. They're not going to do too well against shielded spearmen, being cavalry. Illyrian Reaver, about to make that great charge against those Deepwood scouts, but I'm pulling them back. I guess I got to rescue my prince. So that's kind of painful to watch. Almost had that beautiful charge against those Deepwood scouts as the noble is dealing with them over here. And it's going to go his way because they're not going to be the greatest melee combatants. He's just going to eagle eyes them. Eagle eyes them good. So he's eagle eyesing them. Got a group of Eternal Guard at the back. Star Dragon looks like I'm routing. He's taken enough abuse being outnumbered, but he's done quite a number. Swordmaster's Post just parked there. Again, because it's hard to micromanage because he can't see into the woods. I think foliage is still on. Maybe I should turn foliage off. Probably a good idea. But yeah, archers still being able to fire in. That Sisters of Avalon basically taking no damage, and that group of archers. So that's exactly what you want to see. You want to see archers taking no damage. Oh, and these Wild Riders charging against my archers. Not a good idea. Chasing them off with the Illyrian Reaver archers who have ran out of ammunition. Now just chasing them down. Sisters of Avalon getting in some nice rear shots into them. Yeah, that's going to bring them down. With their shields facing the wrong way, they're going to take all that abuse from those arrows as I chase them down. Some Deepwood Stouts still firing. Swordmasters opposed, kind of unleashed from their miasma of nothingness, engaging this group of Eternal Guard. Should hopefully go their way. Illyrian Reaver archers charging into the Deepwood Scouts. Orion's going to be engaged in melee. Some Deepwood Scouts still firing in, but basically my game at this point. As soon as my prince cycles back in, he's ran away onto this tree, having taken too much abuse. It's kind of quick and hard to keep tabs on everything going on in this game, but basically the Sisters of Avalon were quite effective in that they didn't get touched, and I managed to avoid those Wild Riders doing too much damage to my archers, and that's basically what's kind of sealed the deal. I still have this full group of spearmen. They're the ones chasing the Wild Riders. So they didn't take too much damage. They should be able to take everything here, basically, just because their health is so high. Orion might pose a bit of trouble, but I still got the noble. I can cycle back in against him. And my prince should be able to come back, even though he's limited health. He had another breath attack anyway, so it's basically mine after that point. It's an interesting fight. So what else for Xyle? It's been a while since I used High Elves. It's always fun to use High Elves and get a nice solid game with them. Let's see what did the most work. So my Swordmaster's host, I'm immediately noticing 285 kills. So they just ground up his Eternal Guard. That was just, they were having a heyday in the woods there, chopping up Eternal Guard. The Spearmen, one group of Spearmen did, the Scions of Mathland did like nothing. What's going on there? I guess they just took a bunch of abuse and, I don't know, they did nothing. I wonder, I couldn't keep my eye on them the whole time, obviously. It was difficult to keep your eye on everything at once, but that's a bit surprising. I would have expected them to do a bit better being a regiment of renown. Spearmen did alright, but they're not really to kill. They're to hold people in place for your archers. Surprisingly, my archers did not get as many kills as I'd hoped they would. They did manage to help me delete those Wild Riders. However, those Illyrian Reaver archers I thought were quite effective, but I find it really strange the unit I couldn't pay much attention to did most of the work in the woods there, just chopping and hacking away. But those woods kind of obscured both of us from microing our units appropriately. Either way, really exciting game. It was a fun game, Mr. Punisher, and this is for the boys back home. It's your boy xBenv0liox. Keep it real.